Good evening, everyone. How are you? Yes, it is Tuesday evening, and you know what that means. It is time for the round table, not the square table, not the octagon table, not the hexagon table, but the round table. It is Tuesday evening. Thank you all for tuning in. Of course, I am your whatever I am. I'm the resident bad boy, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I'm Nick Rosario. I want the. According to Sean, I want the smoke. According to Anthony, he sounded like he was smoking. But anyways, let's go with that cough. Smoker's cough. I'm just messing with you, brother. But it is Tuesday night. We love you. We love doing this because I have nothing better to do but to talk football with all my friends. So this is what we do. Of course, I am never alone because I have two of the greatest with me. Of course, the lovely and talented, because those are the only two adjectives I ever use for her. Delilah Crespo is here with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
Delilah, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great. It's Tuesday. I wish it was Friday, but it is what it is.
Spoken like a
Just
true teacher. Yes, I wish it was
December
Friday.
is the worst. December
Yeah,
is the worst, man. It's that post Thanksgiving, and we're we're just surviving. Okay, we're just trying to make it to winter break. All my teacher friends understand. The students, we're all hanging by a thread and just kind of making it through.
I believe that. And of course, the third member of this fantastic team, none other than the man down below, the man in the iron mask, the man with two faces, whatever else you want to call him. He's just a man. Anthony Handy, Mr. Fingers, how are you on this fine Tuesday, sir?
I'm doing fine, sir. I'm doing marvelous. It is finally starting to get cold, and Oklahoma's trying to decide if it wants to be winter or if it still wants to be summer. So
okay, fair enough.
You could leave the house. You could leave the house in a goose down and then come home with a short sleeve on. That's just how it rolls. But no matter what, above all, I am very happy to be here because it is my favorite.
And there it is. That's right. And on that note, let's go to the coin toss. All righty then. As you all know, you guys are a lot of regular watchers, viewers out there. Thank you, Mr. Cornett, for tuning in. It is time for the coin toss. This is our first segment of the show. Well, this is where we really get down and talk some football and kind of give our opinions on things. So we got another 3 topics for you on this fine evening. One of the first ones, which I do find kind of interesting because with only 2 losses, they're 10-2. The Minnesota Vikings are currently sitting in that second position in the NFC. Now, do we believe in the Vikings? Can Kirk Cousins overcome the years, and I mean years, of ridicule and derision and lead his team to the Super Bowl? Anthony Handy, I ask you, do we believe in Minnesota? Can they win the NFC?
Can they win the NFC? Absolutely. Will they win the NFC?
Well,
I don't know. I mean,
that's another question, my friend. Right?
You know what? I really want to believe in Captain Kirk. I really do. It's kind of hard. It's difficult to say, okay, this is going to be the year he gets over the hump. Now,
right?
To say to counter that, he finally has broken the primetime curse. So maybe this will be the year. So I really don't know. I'm still very on the fence. I want to see. I mean, I like the kid. I want to see him do it, but I don't know if they can or not. We'll see.
All right, that's fair enough. But Delilah, their 2 losses are actually to the Eagles and the Cowboys. So, given that those are the 2 teams they may have to contend with in these playoffs,
right?
Can Captain Kirk and the boys overcome? What do you think? Give me your opinion on Minnesota possibly winning the NFC.
I mean, it's possible because since their 2nd seed, they play. If we went to the playoffs, who's their first game
2
again?
and 7. They play the wild card, the 7th seed. Yeah, 2 play 7.
So already that's potentially a first round win for them because it's possibly it's possibly Seattle. I don't know. Commanders could sneak back in,
right?
But I feel like because they
right now it's Minnesota, Seattle.
Yeah, so right now because the bye week is not for like that top 2 anymore, right? It's just the first. That's it. So like I think they have a chance to actually make it past the first round, and they can watch where the dominoes lie, right? Who loses the other games? You know what I mean? So I feel like they do have a chance to actually win their first playoff game, like in a long time, like really.
Right. Sure.
Because I feel like that is definitely possible. And then they get to sit back and watch the rest of the teams and see who they're actually going to battle against, So I feel like it just comes down to who they play in the second round. Cause I do feel that they can get past that first round. Like, I do think that is a viable thing for them. And I think that people keep counting down Minnesota and everybody's like, oh, like they've lost to crap teams. I'm like, but they've also beat good teams. And so like, I think that, and honestly, Kirk is having fun. I don't think I've ever seen him actually be this. You know what I mean? Like, having a great time. His guys are all behind him. I don't think he's had this camaraderie in a very long time. And they're treating him with respect. And they're all saying like, yeah, this is our guy, this is our leader. Then he's got that stud. Yeah, call him 2 Chainz, exactly.
Call him 2 Chainz.
He's having a blast. He keeps joking about getting grills, right? We've seen so he's having a fun time. He's got weapons, guys. I mean, he's got that stud in Justin Jefferson. He's got Thielen there, who's actually has done better the last 2 games, right? He's actually getting he got a touchdown. And I think Rager's finally getting into it, right? Finally, he's connected with him, and so I think that he has a stellar offense. The defense is questionable because it's just how the Jets came back, but at the same time, they still hold their own too. So like, I do believe that they can get past that first round. And then after that, it just depends who they face off in that second round. I think that's really what it comes down to. Because if they do face if they do end up facing the Eagles or the Cowboys, that could be a problem. But but if it's like the 49ers with a hurt Jimmy G who might be coming back, they could definitely beat that team. You know what I mean? Like,
sure. Okay, fair enough.
I think they have a shot, honestly. I do. I do believe that they have a shot.
Yeah, I just, it's amazing because, like you said, people always do like, well, they only won by this or they barely beat this team. A win's a win. Like, you can say what you want, but at the end of the day, that W's in the column, baby. Like, that's thank you, David. We them boys, sure. There we go. More Cowboy fans coming, folks. Let me tell you, but it's all right. Bro, I know. Again, we won't talk about that right now. Right.
It's just like being at somebody's house you've never been to. Like, I hope they don't have roaches. The minute you say roach, 8 of them show up. You said Cowboys,
right? Exactly. Cowboys, right? Pretty much.
We didn't boys. What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. But so let's move on. Okay, I think Minnesota's there. They'll make the playoffs, but definitely a lot to happen between. A lot can happen between now and then. And again, to see if the seeding stays the same or if somehow they manage to skip up above the old Eagles and Cowboys. But anyways, let's move on to our next one. Hey, for those of us who watched Monday Night Football yesterday, you saw something that you've seen 40-something other times, right? Tom Brady manages to come back once more, throwing a touchdown pass with 3 seconds left in this game to lead his team to victory after what looked like a very dismal 3.5 quarters, they decide to play in the last 4 minutes and come up with the victory. Now, as we all know, Tampa Bay plays in that horrible NFC South. So more than likely, I think we would all agree that Brady and the Bucs are probably going to win that division. Right. If nothing else, then by default in that sense. But it is Tom Brady. This is a man with 7 rings, 10 Super Bowl appearances.
Right.
You know, and as much as, and believe me, I've tried counting him out like 3 or 4 different times in the last few years, and the man always just finds a way to come back. So I'm going to ask the question, can Tampa Bay make a run in these playoffs? Delilah, can they?
100%.
What's going on here?
100%.
Okay.
Because statistically, the stats are on his side, right? Like I have said it so many times on the show forever, from the beginning, on this show, my show. Don't let that man make the playoffs. I've been saying that.
Yes,
for
I was
the
waiting for
longest
Kate
time.
to chime in at any moment. Okay. Right, you were talking about her boy, but yes, go ahead.
But it's just factual. It's just following stats, right? I'm just like, don't let that man into a playoff, because something happens. Something happens to him where it's just a different mentality altogether. He broke the curse of the Saints, because we know he was 1-4 in the regular season against the Saints.
He couldn't beat him in the regular season, right?
Somehow he just, so now he got that W, which is why, in the beginning I was like, oh, there it goes. The Saints somehow know how to beat Brady, because for some reason he's always struggled against the Saints versus so many other teams that we've seen him just kind of roll over. But he got the W. That's solidifying, Tampa's spot in the playoffs, because they're like the 4th, I think.
5 or something, 4 or 5.
Yeah, like they dropped.
They're right in that range.
So they're
the division winners, so they're 4. They're number 4.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I thought. Right. So they're 4 because they're most likely to win that division. Even as dismal as it is, that doesn't matter. They'll get that division win again. Again, with that three division wins since he got there, right? The Super Bowl win last year, and now this year is looking like they're going to get it again. So 3 years in a row. It's just I feel like that's just, don't let that man into the playoffs, because he's unpredictable. He did it last year. He didn't make it all the way to the Super Bowl, but he hurt people. He put out the Eagles, right, who are now like the lowest seed today. You know what I'm saying? So just they could definitely do some damage in the playoffs. If you don't believe that Tom Brady cannot beat you in the playoffs, you've already lost.
No, I hear you. I get you.
You can't go into that mentality, because he definitely could make a run for sure. We've seen him do it 7 times.
I'm with you. Now here's the thing, Handy. Here's what was my thing, and this is what I want to get into you with a little bit. The offense. I get the offensive line is a little suspect at times, especially that number 76, the rookie kid who's getting like he leads the league in penalties this year or whatever. That poor kid's getting beat up, but. I mean, you've got an offense that has Julio Jones, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette. This kid, Rashid White, at running back, has been playing very well. Got that game-winning touchdown yesterday. And Brady himself, has not looked spectacular this year. But when it counts, the man is on, it seems like. But here's what I really want to ask you, because I know Tampa Bay, given that they're going to win that NFC South, what do you think really is the defense going to carry them through, or does Tom be the guy during these playoffs? Like, what do you really think is going to happen there?
I think it's going to be 65% defense and 35% Tom Brady.
Okay.
But that 35% is a strong 35%. Tom Brady is like the equivalent of Michael Myers and The Undertaker wrapped up in one. Like, you can speaking from experience, you can have him on the ropes. He's getting ready to get out. You're getting ready to climb the top rope to hit him with the flying elbow, and then pick him up to an RKO to submit him. And while you climbing the rope, here comes the bell. Boom. And he just got up, and now he's coming to take you out. Or you think Michael Myers is dead, and you turn around and he's gone, and he comes around from behind the chainsaws and gets you with whatever he's got. So Listen, you should have got in the running car. That's all I got to say. But
that's right. Get in the running car.
Tom Brady is. I grudgingly give Tom Brady that respect just as a fan of a team, and I just watched him come back and surgically dissect a 25-point, eradicate a 25-point lead en route to the first and only overtime win in the Super Bowl. So
correct. I wasn't going to try to mention that for you, but I guess we have to.
My therapist said that if I talk about it and vocalize it, then I'd be able to better reconcile with it. So,
okay, very good. I'm all for healing and getting past stuff. There you go.
Yeah, he said two more visits, and I can get rid of my Tom Brady.
So very good. If they keep their numbers, Sean was saying they play the Cowboys, but didn't Tampa win on September 11th? Right? Isn't that when they played the Cowboys? Isn't that when they played?
That was very early to say. This for week 1, wasn't it? Yeah,
I think so.
I believe that was a bad showing by Dallas, no doubt. I mean, not that Tampa played much better. I don't think it wasn't a low-scoring game. It was like, they won. Yeah, 19-3 exactly. It wasn't that great. I don't know.
So I don't know. It should be interesting. I don't know. It should be interesting if they actually meet up in the playoffs. It should be interesting. To see who
that would definitely be something.
Should be a good
game, right?
It should be a good game, though.
Well, see, that's the thing, though, is that let's just say, for the sake of this discussion, somehow the Cowboys finish first, then they get the bye.
Yeah, man.
Then number four plays number 5, which would then be the Eagles probably for finishing second in that NFC East. So there you go. There it is. Yeah. Anywho, all right, Mr. Wright. Yes,
here we go.
David, we love David, but for those who don't know, obviously our resident Cowboy fan, David Wright, along with Ash Swinton and Janae Struther, they formed this triumphant that never mind. I'm not going to get into the Cowboys fans right now. Let's just move on. Right. Let's move on because
did Dak? I thought Dak played the opener too. Was it Cooper Rush?
Dak played in the opener. He did play in the opener.
That's what I thought.
But like I said, David's a Cowboy fan. He's probably making stuff up again. I don't know what he's talking about.
I thought so too. But in any case, for Dallas to climb to first place, because you got the Eagles and Minnesota, like, don't they have to win out, and then Eagles and Minnesota have to drop a bunch of games?
Well,
I'm just looking at the statistics.
No, I was trying to look at that this morning to try to figure all that out, but I think Minnesota actually has, like, they play the Bears again, they play the Colts, and like they had a lesser schedule for the most part that I was looking at. So if Minnesota can find a way to at least win like 3 or 4 out of the last 5, they might have a shot at it. Who knows? We'll see. Again, it's Minnesota. We don't know what's going to. It's Kirk Cousins. Who knows? But moving on. We all love Tom Brady, but let's move on. The Cincinnati Bengals. Well, I know it was. I was just trying to segue in a nice way. You know what I'm saying? But the Cincinnati Bengals won yesterday, taking their record to 8-4, beating for the 3rd time in the last few years the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I ask you because we have talked about, Cincinnati up and down this whole year. Like, they look like they were out for a minute. Now they've resurrected themselves. They're 8-4. Burrow's playing like, an MVP at this point. He's playing much, much better. He gets his buddy Jamar Chase back. He's still got T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Samaje Perine, all that. Can the Super Bowl representative from the AFC make a good playoff run? And the reason why I asked this is because a lot of people, even myself early, were really doubting the Bengals. They've managed to turn it around. Are they peaking at the right time here to win the NFC? Mr. Handy, what sayeth you about those Bengals?
I am going to 100% say yes, if for no other reason than the quarterback himself. We saw last season what Joe Burrow by himself, with little or no help, motivated himself and his teammates to achieve. I mean, you're talking about a decimated offensive line, a quarterback who was getting beat up left, right, and Sunday, and they still got all the way to this. I mean, all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now he's got some help around him, and he's got Mr. Acrobat catching the passes. They've made some improvements on the offensive line. I definitely think they're peaking at the right time. I used to run track in high school, and this is the way, if you ran a distance race of longer than 400 meters. Like if you ran anything longer than 800, you just kind of tried to stay in the roundabout at the front end in the middle of the pack. You didn't have to be chasing. You didn't have to be chasing the person that's all the way out in front. Stay about somewhere near the front of the middle of the pack, and you all notice that around the third or the fourth lap, that they start slowly reeling in the leader, and they just start walking people down until they're that final push for that final kick, and that's exactly what the Bengals have done. So,
right.
I definitely think with what the Bengals have going on right now, yeah, they could. It is possible.
Delilah, I'm going to ask you because again, we've all, I think we're both Joe Burrow fans, and we've talked about Cincinnati here and there. But does there some magic left in that old Bengal striped helmet he's got there? Can Joe Burrow lead this team through again with the, the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs as favorites, obviously, to come out of there? Is this Cincinnati team legit? Are they ready to make this run?
I mean, I want to say yes because they're making that bounce back. But I just, man, if they went into the playoffs, they'd be playing the Chiefs. And even though we know that they beat them in the regular season, but the Chiefs in the playoffs are just a different beast altogether as well. There's a reason why we call Mahomes baby goat. And I you know what I mean?
I call him Kermit the Frog, but all right, sure.
I know, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, the Chiefs turn on all cylinders in the playoffs. And we know that in this day and age, it's really hard to repeat like that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, the back-to-back, like, isn't something as common. Like, last time we saw the guy was to Mr. Tom Brady with the Patriots.
Yeah,
but
sure.
But like, yeah, I feel like they have a harder going this year than last year.
Okay.
Like, just because they don't have that, they didn't come in at the top like they thought. They are peaking at the right time. I just don't see them going all the way back to the Super Bowl. I really don't.
Okay. No, fair enough. I mean, again, it's so, I'm so, like I said, I'm like 50-50 to be really honest with you, because I like Joe Burrow a lot. I like what they're doing there. The defense has played better. The offensive line is kind of like bended but didn't break type thing. They're giving him some time, and so yeah, I would say that I think the Bengals could possibly make the AFC Championship game if they continue like this, but I don't, like you said, I don't know if they're getting back to the Super Bowl. I just know that that's a little bit tougher the second time around. But again, that is our coin toss for this week. Let's go to a quick video, and we'll be right back. Yes. Okay, well, I guess we're having a little technical difficulty there, so we'll just keep moving. The next segment of the show, as you guys are all aware of, is the This Week in NFL History. So we'll go ahead and just go to that. Delilah, you're up. Take it away, Delilah.
All right, here we go. All right, so it's This Week in NFL History, and I actually got about a week of stuff. All right, so here we go. So on December 1st, 1991, Mr. Dan Marino sets an NFL record when he reaches 3,000 yards passing for the eighth time in his career during the Dolphins' 33-14 win over Tampa Bay at Joe Robbie Stadium. So that was like the big one for December 1st. On December 2nd, it just so happens, 1984, Dan Marino just popped up again. It just happened in the 80s. If you were around the 80s, Miami Dolphins, Dan Marino was going to pop up a lot, right? So anyway, December 2nd, 1984, Dan Marino breaks NFL single season touchdown pass record when he throws his 37th in the Dolphins 45-34. That it was a loss, but again, he did break a single season record. December 2nd, 1985, Chicago Bears head coach Mike Ditka and his defensive coordinator got almost into a fight during halftime because it was the first loss that the 85 Bears faced, which is ironically was against Miami. So it was a 38-24 loss to the Miami Dolphins at the Orange Bowl, Chicago's only loss of that NFL season. And yeah, basically during the halftime, Mike Ditka and Buddy Ryan almost got into it. I mean, it got pretty physical, but didn't come to blows, but it got pretty close. Same year, 1985, same day, December 2nd. It was the first time, which is crazy when you think about it, that quarterback legends Dan Marino and John Elway actually faced each other. They did play against each other two times after that. But that was the first time that Dan Marino and John Elway played against each other, faced each other in a game, was on December 2nd, 1985. December 3rd, 1933, Joe Lilliard, the QB for the Chicago Cardinals, because I don't know if you guys know this, but the Cardinals was our team. And then they got moved to Arizona because the Bears used to be the Staleys. But anyway, outside of that, he was the last NFL black quarterback because unfortunately, I don't know if you guys remember, we kind of got into this during DWD. I did talk about when the NFL was reintegrated, but this is when segregation happened. And so he was the last black quarterback in the NFL until 1946 when the NFL was desegregated again. December 3rd, 1944, there was a temporary merger of two NFL teams. I don't know. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Chicago Cardinals. What happened in the 1940s, if people remember their history, was during World War II. So there were actually quite a few teams that merged during that time. It had to do with monetary reasons, but also players, because people were going overseas. But it dissolved as soon as the World War II ended in 1945. So they actually went back to normal operations. But there was a brief merger between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Chicago Cardinals in 1944. December 4th, 1977. That is the NFL's 5,000th game when Cincinnati beat the Kansas City Chiefs 27-7. Again, the NFL, remember, was relatively young. People weren't really into it. So by the time 1977 came around, the fact that there was a 5,000th game was a big deal. December 5th, 1974 was the birth of the Seattle Seahawks. That's when they were actually formed. So December 5th, 1974 was the birth of the Seattle Seahawks. December 5th, 2008, not as exciting, but that's when former NFL O.J. Simpson is sentenced to 33 years in prison. I think you guys remember what happened. You know, he tried to get all his stuff back, was charged with armed robbery. He didn't complete 33 years. I don't know if you guys know that. Even though he was sentenced, he was not in jail for that amount of time. And then finally, December 6th, 1992, the San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Jerry Rice catches an NFL record 101 touchdown and when the 49ers beat Miami at Candlestick Park 27-3. So Jerry Rice caught his 101st touchdown December 6, 1992. And our last stat, December 6, 2018, Derrick Henry, King Henry, who we know, explodes for a franchise record of 233 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 30-9 win over the Jaguars in Nashville. He tied the 99-yard touchdown with Hall of Famer running back Tony Dorsett of the Cowboys. So 2018, you know, King Henry was already exploding. So that's your week in NFL history.
Thank you so much, Delilah. We always appreciate that. Well, let us move on, because as you know, it is time for our game of the week. And this week, boys and girls, we're going with Giants-Eagles. Now, real quickly, I will say this. After that 2020 tie last week that the Giants had with Sean's Washington Commanders, you know, I found that game interesting because when you think about it, this actually may help both teams in their playoff push, because now you're going to have one less loss than some of these other teams possibly because you tied. So that might actually work to the advantage of both Washington and New York. But this obviously is an important game for the Giants this week because, you know, division game. I mean, not just that it's a division rivalry game, but it's also, I think a lot of people think the Giants need to prove that they can play with these better teams. Even though the Giants have a very good record this year and they've run the ball with Saquon, you know, they've had many receivers injured, lost guys here and there. You know, I think Darius Slayton's finally back and playing well. But the Giants, I think, have a lot to prove here this week against this Eagles team that has just shown that And even people doubting the Eagles, they've just continued to do what they do and they win. They're the number 1 seed right now in the NFC. So again, a big game for the Giants and the Eagles this week. So Delilah, we'll start with you. Give us, what are you looking forward to this week? Giants, Eagles, give us what you got.
I'm excited because division games are always interesting, right? We always know that they always come with a different amount of anxiety and pressure. Especially with and especially with two teams that are playoff bound as far as standings go. The New York Giants are in there with number 6, Philly at number 1. I do feel like this game is more important for the Giants to win more so than Philly. Because even if they drop this game, they're still top 2. You know what I mean? So I feel like this game is more pressure for the Giants because if they lose, they're going to be 7-5, which would tie them with Seattle, who's currently 7-5 at number 7. And I think the tie it hurts teams, doesn't it? Like that's what I've been paying, the last few seasons. I feel ties are more detrimental, right, than a win or a loss.
Well, like I was saying, it depends how the things shake out, but it could be an advantage to both because you're going to have the one less loss if it comes down to that.
Yeah,
depending on how the other teams finish. So yeah,
the Seattle doesn't. Seattle has what they're 387. Right, I'm looking at they're 583. If they win, I don't know. Does that mean like Seattle moves up to 6? That's what I mean. I feel like this game is more important for the Giants to win than the Eagles. Like the Eagles could lose a game.
Enough.
The Eagles could lose a game and still be top 2. I feel like for this, it's more the Giants really need this W more than the Eagles do, in my opinion.
Yep, fair enough. But Handy, let me ask you this, because again, as we all know, only the top seed gets the bye. And the Eagles, again, they're battling with Dallas and, possibly Minnesota with only 2 losses. What do you think of this game? Is it more important for the Giants to win or more important for the Eagles to keep winning?
It is 100% more important for the Giants to keep winning. This is the time of the year where teams that started out on a hot streak do start to run out of gas a little bit. You said they're 7-5, so they're 12 games in. They got 5 more left. I'm not sure if they've had their bye week yet or not, but you're also talking about the number 28 offense in the league, surprisingly, against the number 7 defense in the Giants against the number 7 defense in the league against the Eagles. So, it is really important for them to win. It's really important for them to win. And then, according to producer Sean, next week they've got the Commanders again. So,
yes, they do.
And I don't think that knowing how the Commanders have been playing so far this season, I don't think Riverboat Ron coming for a tie this time. He's coming for a win. So
for sure. Oh, sure.
100%.
Yeah, agreed. And again, I get stuck in these things because, again, I understand the importance of the Giants need to win. I do. But I got to imagine that if you're the Eagles, you don't want to give up that top spot. Like as much as you got 4 games left after this, or 3 games left, or 4 games after this week. I'm sorry. Yes, I'll get it right sometime today. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's such a tight race at the top there with only 2 lost Minnesota, Eagles, Cowboys. Possibly they got to play each other again, I think. But I mean, it's such an important game overall. Yes, but I feel like the Eagles need to maintain. To be honest with you, because again, Philly hosts is right. The tiebreaker against Minnesota and Dallas, right? True. But if you lose more games than they do, guess what? You don't get that number 1 seed. That's all I'm saying. I understand the tiebreakers if that happens. Then yes, Philly's in. But again, losing another game, that can be crippling. So I'm just for now, David. Right for now. Oh, David, we love you, Cowboy fan. Killing me, man. Killing me. Anyways, but again, I just personally for me, I think the Eagles, this is very important for them to keep rolling as they have been. And again, a lot of people said the Giants wouldn't make the playoffs. Even when they were winning, they were like, they don't think they can maintain. They don't feel like they have enough on offense, which I might tend to agree with a little bit, considering their offense is Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. So that may not be enough to really get them over the hump, as it were. So in that regard, some people may say, well, okay then, Nick, you just proved the point that the Giants need this game more. But again, I still feel like, yeah, it just there's still a lot of game to be played, and like Sean put up there, 1-3-1 in your last 5 games, not very impressive. So I think the Giants could be headed towards the disappointment bin as it is. So I'm going to go with I think this game is a lot more important for the Eagles at this point. Well, there you go, folks. That is, of course, our game of the week. We'll all be watching Giants Eagles, I'm sure. With very much anticipation and excitement. You can tell because I'm so excited that my Bears won't lose this week because we're on a bye. So that just makes me happy right there that we don't have to talk about the Bears losing next week. Fantastic. Anyways, that is our game of the week as it were. So let us go now to a quick video, and we'll be right back. Hey, thank you for that. So, of course, that is all the Let's Talk Football family of shows that we have going on here, as you know. So check us out any day of the week. Look for us, Facebook, YouTube, I think Twitter, whatever else, Instagram, Reddit, Bumble, wherever you can find us, just find us.
Bumble.
We're out there somewhere. We're all looking for love in all the wrong places. No, I'm kidding. Anyways.
If you're Eddie Murphy, you're Wookin' Panub.
Oh, my
That's
goodness.
right, Wookin' Panub. And on that note, let us just move on before I tell any more bad jokes this evening, shall we? As always, our next segment is a good one because who doesn't like to hear about how people are playing in the NFL after they leave college? So, as of course you all know, it is time for the Rookie Spotlight and Mr. Anthony Hendy.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's edition of Let's Talk Football, the Roundtable. I am Mr. Fingers, coming to you all the way from Zagness Central in the heart of Oklahoma City. Before I get started with the Rookie Spotlight, I do want to go ahead and send a special shout out. Yes, producer Sean, I'm going off script. A special shout out. This past Sunday was the 116th anniversary of the founding of the first Greek letter organization founded for African Americans in an intercollegiate setting at the campus of Cornell University. So happy 116th Alphaversary to my fraternity brothers, the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So having said that, now that we're back, ladies and gentlemen, do appreciate you guys watching. If you are enjoying what you're seeing right now, drop a comment, drop a like. Matter of fact, give it a share, and most importantly, make sure to hit the notification buttons, whether it's a subscribe or a get all notifications, so you will know each and every single time Let's Talk Football has some activity going on, like this fine program right here. Rookie Spotlight, how y'all doing? It wasn't that very long ago. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, it was just a mere, 8 months ago that the NFL draft took place, and a lot of eager faces, fresh faces, sat in a room in the back, and some of them had on suits, and some of them were at home because they knew they weren't going in the first round, and some of them, like one of my guys from my favorite school, dressed up like Prince Hakeem, like he was getting ready to come out and sing Queen to Be with the big red gift bow, the bow wrap on him, like he was going to be under the tree on Christmas. But they are now all in the league and they're doing their thing, ladies and gentlemen, in their first season. Y'all don't make me laugh. In their first season in the league, And this week we're here to tell you about the number 2 overall pick in this past 22 NFL draft. Comes straight out of a school up north of me. He attended Divine High School in Dearborn, Michigan, where he played defensive end, tight end, offensive line, and long snapper. He's very versatile. He's like the Swiss Army knife for football players. He played in the 2018 U.S. Army All-American game where he notched 2 sacks. He wound up committing to play college football at the University of Michigan, where, fun fact, his father played from 1988 to 1992. And you want to talk about really make me feel old? Guess who else enrolled in college in 1988? I give you a hint. It's not the other 2 hosts of this show. So, as a true freshman at Michigan in 2018, he played all 13 games, which is very impressive for a true freshman. And he had 15 tackles. The next year, he leveled up, played all 13 games, and had 68 tackles and 4.5 sacks. He was a bad boy. He bulked up over the summer. He went home and worked out to the Rocky montage. He had Paulie in the back going, "You got to give him some of that good stuff, Rock." Anyway, so as a junior in 2020, he started the first 3 games, and then he had a season-ending injury, unfortunately. But then he came back his senior season. He set the team's single-season sack record at 14, and he also won a whole bunch of awards like the Ted Hendricks Award, the Lombardi. Okay, we're doing the dirty dancing. The Lombardi Award, the Lot Impact Trophy, and the Chicago Tribune Silver Football. He was also the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy, and you know how impressive that is because you don't see a lot of defensive players that get nominated for that trophy. So you know he had to be a real bad. Listen, I'm gonna borrow something from Stephen A. Smith. He's a bad, bad man. So, matter of fact, he was the only defensive player, and then there were 3 other quarterbacks. We know who won that Heisman that year, of course. Following the season, he declared for the NFL draft. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been doing all this talking, and I haven't even told you, well, Anthony, who the heck are you talking about? Y'all know who I'm talking about. His name's on the screen. I'm talking about Aiden Hutchinson, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. When he left the University of Michigan, he had played in 43 games altogether where he notched 81 solo tackles, 72 assists, 26.5 tackles for loss, 18.5 sacks. The boy stands 6'7" and is 260 pounds. That's a big dude. That's a really big dude. For frame of reference, if any of you are familiar with any of the players playing college football right now, there's a young man playing ball for my favorite team, the University of Georgia Bulldogs. They call him Big O. He is 6'7" and about 275 pounds. That's a big dude. Aiden Hutchinson is so big when coach yells for him, he walks in the room and go, "You rang." That's how big that boy is. All right. So he was selected number 2 overall by the Detroit Lions in this past spring's draft. And here, ladies and gentlemen, now that I've given you all of the backstory, this is the thing I like about Aiden Hutchinson. The kid's got a work ethic from hell. He's tirelessly working. Even when he's on the field, you see him, he gets blocked out of, it looks like he's been blocked out of a play. He keeps working and fighting his way around a defender until he gets to either the ball carrier or the quarterback. He also very efficient coming in from the right side of the line with a nice swim move so he can get around a defender either on the inside or the outside to notch some sacks. I am having a difficult time talking tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on a second. Okay, coffee. That's a little bit better. There we go. So this kid, very versatile. As you saw, he played 4 different positions when he was in high school. So he can basically play, even though his specialty is rushing from the edge, he is very, very versatile. He a very, very versatile defensive player. And he has, while he has not blown up and made huge amounts of noise while he has been in the league so far, here's what he's done. Check this out. He's got 2 interceptions under his belt already. You don't see a lot of D linemen that have interceptions. He's got 2. We're in what week? We got 5 games to go. He's got 2 interceptions. In week 11, he was named the defensive player of the week. And he was named the defensive player of the month last month. And again, folks are loving him with the Detroit Lions. He's a hometown boy. He's right there in his home state doing a lot of good things, charitable organizations and things that he's getting involved in there in his own town. And so far this season, he has notched 33 tackles with 12 assists, 6 sacks, and of course the aforementioned 2 interceptions. Now, like I said, he hasn't been a world beater this season, but he has definitely made an impact on the Lions defense. And he is looking forward to see what they're bringing in with the draft this coming season and the free agent signings and things to see what they can do to augment this young man. I really think that he's only just getting started, y'all. I know the season is kind of wrapping up. I can't believe the season is over almost already. Can you? Year has just flown by, but I'm really looking forward to seeing this kid level up next year. Like we said, in college, he was injured, so he didn't get to play a lot that junior season. He came back his senior season, and he set the world on fire. So Aiden Hutchinson, hey, if you're ready to set the world on fire, I know at least one lady that's watching this show right now that's ready to hand you a torch. So your rookie of the week, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Detroit Lions, Aiden Hutchinson. And we're going to turn it back over to the rest of the crew. Back to you, Mr. Smoke.
Well, thank you for that, Handy. And if any of you would like a written transcript of that last segment, because I don't know what the hell he was talking about either, you could just send $9.95 to my apartment and I'll send you one. No, I'm kidding. Thank you, Mr. Handy. We appreciate you as always. It's one of those nights, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're all feeling that. So let me go
waiting on the holidays.
Right, before Delilah spits her water out at the camera that she's on. But anyways, it is time, of course, for Nick's picks. So I'm going to go ahead and check. Hey, so as always, this week I'm going to give you 4 games. Yes, that's right, 4 that are on the slate this week. Give you my opinion, give you what I think. Again, overall for the season, I'm just under 500. So, maybe you shouldn't listen to me, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to you anyways. Here we go. Let's get it started, as they say. Producer Sean, if you would, sir. Yes, Browns, Bengals. Here we go. As we were talking about earlier, the resurgent Bengals I think they're on the come up. This is a good game. I know Deshaun Watson's back, but obviously he hadn't played in almost 2, whatever it was, and he didn't look that impressive in his debut back. And I don't think that he's going to be able to overcome this Bengals defense or their offense. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Cincinnati Bengals minus 6 points here. I think that's a pretty good bet. We'll see how it goes, though. It is a division game, so you know that sometimes those can be really close and hotly contested. But I'm still going to go with Joe Burrow and the boys. Jamar Chase is back. It'll be a second week back, so I'm going to go Bengals minus 6. Next game we have for you, as was our game of the week, we have Eagles-Giants. Now, again, I know this is an important game for both teams, but the Eagles are a 7-point favorite. And I know what you're going to say, Nick, what are you doing here? The Giants did. Okay, I get all that. But I think the Giants can run the ball on the Eagles, which is their strength. With Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, I think they keep it close even if they don't win. So that's why I'm going to take the Giants plus those 7 points that they're getting in this classic NFC East matchup. Giants plus 7. So on to our next game, Chiefs-Broncos. Now here you go. Okay, you might be saying that, hey, Nick, this is an easy one. The Broncos just really have no offense. I mean, they pretty much did, they let a backup quarterback beat them after Lamar Jackson got hurt. Huntley came in and scored that last, minute touchdown or whatever for them to actually take the lead 10-9. A horrible game. The Broncos just can't seem to get it together. Russell Wilson I'm not sure what's happening there. He's got a few weapons, but they just aren't connecting. Nobody's playing that great. And the Broncos just look haphazard. I mean, at this point, it's probably better that they finish the rest of the season, get another good draft pick. Like, just, I don't know, do something, though. But again, you're talking about a playoff-bound Chiefs team with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and his other little cast of characters that he has there in his receiving core without Tyreek Hill. But I still like the Chiefs in this one, giving up 9 points. I mean, I'm pretty sure they can beat the Broncos by more than that. And just on that alone, I'm going to go with that. So this week, Chiefs Broncos, I'm going to go Chiefs minus the 9. And for my final game of the week, we have Panthers Seahawks. Now, as we know, not that this mattered much, but the Panthers did let go of Baker Mayfield, and he was picked up by the Rams of all teams. So he may actually start Thursday night. So that could be interesting. But in this game, I don't see the Panthers. The Seahawks are fighting for that playoff spot. Geno Smith has been playing well. He's got them with a winning record. They're very confident. Their defense seems to look a little bit better. Kenneth Walker could be out. He got an injury in the last game. We'll have to check on that and see how he's doing. But I'm still thinking the Seahawks can overcome the Panthers by that minus 4.5 points, meaning they're favored. So I think the Seahawks can win this game by more than 4.5. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks over the lowly Panthers minus 4.5. So to recap, as always, we have Browns-Bengals. I will go Bengals minus 6. And we have Eagles-Giants. Giants plus 7. For Chiefs-Broncos, of course, I'm going to go Chiefs minus the 9. And then for the return, or for the Seahawks and now Baker Mayfieldless Panthers, I will go Seahawks minus 4.5. So thank you all. That is Nick's picks for this week. And now let us go to a video break right now. Yes, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. And just for the record, David, right? I know you think you're funny. You don't think I caught that last comment, huh? Maybe you should take. Yeah. Thank the Lord he can't tell us to take the Bears this week. Funny guy. You'll be laughing when the Cowboys lose in the first round of the playoffs again, won't you? Take that, son. Anywho, that's right. Shots fired. Who wants the smoke? I want the smoke.
My mama say I'm supposed to be on this block.
That's right. You want to come after me, pal? You better be prepared, because I bring the smoke every time. Anyways, thank you, David, of course. Ben Cornett was on. Nathan Snell was in the comments. Kate Alverson, of course, because we talked about all of her favorite things in one show. So, Kate, thank you for commenting. David, we did. No, believe me, she was commenting the whole time, right? We talked about Brady. She talked about Hutchinson. We talked about Joe Burrow. Funny. She's in heaven right now. Stifler's mom is feeling really good right about now with all this stuff. So, but again, thank you guys seriously all for watching. We appreciate the comments. We love you guys. It's great to have you all on. Thank you. As you know, this is always our last segment of the show. We call it our one last thought. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. And this week we'll start, Mr. Handy. Why don't you go ahead and give us one last thought?
You know what? First of all, to those of you that needed the SAP button to understand what I was saying in my segment, I sincerely apologize. I don't know what the heck is going on. I just had a case of it. I've been talking fine the whole show, and all of a sudden my mouth is went. I'm going on my coffee break. So again, to echo Nick, thank you guys so much for watching. Now, my one last thought. My one last thought is don't. You're going to have, if you live any period of time longer than 24 hours, you're going to have excitement and you're going to have disappointments and you're going to have some good times and you're going to have some tough times. And do not let, I think my one last thought is, do not let your tough times discourage you so much that you just get to a point where you just want to sit down and give up. And if you do get to that point, just know that know who your people are. Have you some good people around you so you know who you can reach out to bolster you up. Um, I say that I say that to say this. You know, we come on the show, we joke, we laugh, we have a good time. Um, Earlier this year, I was going through some personal struggles. Um, and I kept those personal struggles to myself. This is probably the first time my co-hosts are hearing about this. I went through some personal struggles. I went through some family struggles. I had a father that's in ill health. He's in and out of the hospital on a regular basis. And I let it get me really, really, really down. I mean, to a point where it was critical mass, so to speak. It was getting to the point of critical mass, but I knew who my good people were around me. This right here that we're doing was exceptionally therapeutic for me. This is one of the things that kept me going. I have a wonderful wife here I've been married to for 11 years now. She kept me going. My boss at work, didn't give her all the details, just told her I was going through some stuff. She said, just know that we're here if you need us. And she would check in on me at least a couple times a week. Are you doing all right? Come on, let's go for a walk. Let me get you a cup of coffee. I didn't necessarily tell her everything that was going on in my life, but she was there with me. Um, so my thing is just, keep your head up and about you. There's some poems that I had to learn. Speaking of my fraternity, there's some poems that I had to learn when I was pledging the fraternity, and the one that sticks with me more than any of the others is a poem. Is a poem by Invictus by William Ernest Henley. It was written by, and he had, as a young man, had contracted tuberculosis, and back in those days, tuberculosis was almost like a death sentence. He wound up losing a leg. He wound up walking around with a wooden leg, and he wrote this poem. And you may have heard it if you've ever seen the film. You heard Morgan Freeman narrate it, but the last stanza says, I'm sorry, the third stanza. Oh God. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. And that also kept me going. Not necessarily the fraternity, but just things that you can call back on to just keep you pulled up and shored up. So, didn't mean to bring the mood of the show down, but if you're going through some stuff, know that you're not the only one that has gone through it, and know who your people are around you that can keep you shored up until you can get your feet back up under you. And that's my last thought for the day.
No, I mean, thank you for that, Anthony, because again, I mean, it is important to know who your people are, like you said. It is. I found it for me, just to expound really quickly on what you were saying. It just always seems good to actually talk to someone who's, even if they haven't been through a similar thing, just to get it out of from yourself. And there's that person, whoever that is, just finds a way to kind of comfort you in that moment. And that's always so important to just have somebody to talk to. So totally appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for sharing. Because again, you're right. I did not know you were struggling with something earlier in the year. I mean, so I'm glad you're doing much better, and I'm glad you had that support there for yourself. So that's awesome. Delilah, yeah, no, Delilah, go ahead and give us your last thought for this week.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna say that for this, obviously we're in the midst of the holiday season, and I think something that we all need is I've said this a few times, but not everybody gets the day off during the holidays. Not everybody gets to be home with friends or family. Again, I'm gonna say, please, when you're out there when you're in restaurants, when you're in stores, with anybody in customer service, please know that if you're having a bad day, I can guarantee you that their day is worse because they're dealing with like 20 of you. When I say 20, I'm lowballing. But please be patient. I promise you, when someone tells you they're sold out of something, they're sold out. There's no secret. I don't know what you think is in the back room, but it's not Indiana Jones back there, like where they're just storing things in a magical place. It's gone. Okay. And when you're at restaurants, yeah, things are going to take a longer time to come out. Guess what? It's the busy season. So please be patient and be courteous. And they're human beings. So please, to all your industry folk, in bars, restaurants, retail, whatever it is, grocery stores, banks. Please treat them with kindness and patience because they're dealing with people all day. Public transportation people, your bus drivers, let me tell you, man, they're seeing hundreds of people a day. And then outside of that, we have our first responders, right? People who get to go home, our servicemen and women. All these people don't get those days off, right? Not everybody has bank holidays. I think people need to remember that. Not everyone closes down and has those days to decompress. Often people take those days because they need they need the money. Two, there's no one else. People are short staffed. You know what's going on. So please go out there and just remember that when you're out there and you're dealing, with officers, with people, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just not everybody has the holiday breaks. Okay. And then on top of that, yeah, I'm sorry that teachers go on a Christmas break, but trust me, the rest of the year, it's rough. Okay. Some of us work over the holidays too. So please also just remember that, as you're getting ready to get your kids on vacation for 2 weeks, please be kind to your educators too. Okay. We're all trying to make it. We're in the same boat. Okay. So just again, patience and love, please. Honestly, let's just remember that this holiday season. That's all.
Amen.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Delilah. Because again, I know David works in the service industry as well, and I for years worked in retail and services. Right? Yeah, it's like, and again, you do feel like sometimes you're like, man, I wish these people would just like not give you such a hard time, man. I'm here on Christmas. I used to work at a movie theater. That was a fun one because you worked every holiday when you worked at a movie theater because we never closed. So I was like, it's Christmas Eve and I'm here with you, and why you giving me a hard time, man? I'm trying to go home to my family. So, but no, seriously, that's a great message. Seriously, be good to your service industry people. Be good to believe me, it doesn't take much. A simple hello, how you doing? How's it going? Thank you. You're welcome. Just being courteous goes a very long way in that sort of thing. So thank you, Delilah, for that. Real quick, you know, one of the unfortunate parts of getting older is that people tend to leave the planet, as it were. And this morning, I found out that referee Mills Lane died. Now, for some of you who aren't familiar with boxing,
I saw that.
Mills Lane was probably one of the greatest refs ever, just for his personality and the way that he handled fights. And as a kid, I became a huge boxing fan because of my father. So we watched every championship fight from probably 79, 80, all the way to like the early 90s, where my dad and I literally, even to the mid 90s with De La Hoya, Felix Trinidad, all that stuff. So I watched boxing for a good 16, 17 years. Like every year, I'd watch all the major fights, all the big ones, all the pay-per-views, all that stuff. And Mills Lane, for a good long time, was one of the refs who was always in the championship fights. And the guy, his big phrase for all you remember is like, let's get it on. That was his thing. Mills was great. 85 years old, so obviously the man lived a nice full life, had a great career as a referee. And just to say that, it's, sometimes, like I said, as you get older, you start to lose some of the people as a child that you admired or you looked up to or that sort of thing. So I appreciate that. So yeah, just, rest in peace, Mills Lane. I watched many of a fight that you refereed, and I was always entertained by you as a ref, and have obviously entertained by the fights that I watched. So that's all I wanted to do. Programming note: next week we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So I guess I just wanted to kind of give you a little heads up on that. We're going to have the first ever annual. I don't know if it's annual, but first ever. See how the first one goes before we say we're going to do it again next year. But the first ever Roundtable trivia contest. Yes, folks. There will be an actual prize for the winner. That is to be determined. We're working on that. But we're going to have, obviously Delilah and Handy will be there. They're part of the show. But we're going to have a couple other folks on as well. And you'll find that out next week who they are. And we're going to have a nice little trivia contest, game show type thing for next Tuesday, just to kind of break it up a little bit, have a little fun for the Christmas season. So it will be football based, just in case you thought I was going to throw science or something else in there to them. No, we're going to do football. It's all football related. So make sure you tune in next Tuesday for the Roundtable Trivia Contest. And as always, thank you all for watching. Thank you for the comments. Like Anthony always says, if you like it, like and subscribe. You can find us again, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, probably Instagram too, all of them. Like I said, Bumble, Tinder, whatever. Find us wherever. We're all around. But thank you so much again for watching. For Anthony Handy, Mr. Fingers, for Delilah Crespo, I am Nick Rosario. Please, everyone, have a fantastic week. And we'll see you next week for the trivia contest. Have a good week, everyone. Blah, 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 blah. This happened, that happened. You guys are sold on Carson Wentz.